morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar, Get 3 Tips on How to Utilize Your Customer Data in Social with Comfo. Let me just first introduce our summer school. The Cycle Summer School will span a number of roles, not just IT and marketing, while addressing 12 subjects from context marketing to mobile experience, personalization, and the art of the possible, and everything in between to ensure that you have all you need to ace your customer experiences. With more than 80 sessions available live and on demand during July and August, Cycle Summer School will enable you to rethink your digital marketing strategy and lead transformation and disruption in your organization. Sessions from digital marketing leaders like Forrester Research, Mansell Bourne, and Avanade will give you the answers you need to demand more from your current strategy. I'm Ricky Peterson, and I'm a marketing executive for Cycle International and Nordics, and I'll be moderating today's webinar. And just to make you all aware, today's webinar is being recorded and will be available on cyclesummerschool.com within the next 24 hours. Lisbeth Chavez will be taking questions for about 5 to 10 minutes at the end of her presentation, so please feel free to post any questions you have in the chat box on the left of your screen. And now I'd like to introduce today's speaker. Today we're joined live by Lisbeth Chavez. She's a partner responsible at Comfo. And Lisbeth Chavez is a Danish tech leader with over 15 years of experience from various management positions and startup companies within the technology industry. She currently works for the global social media software company Comfo, and her leadership style can be described as passionate. Above all, she drives changes and develops new markets with a unique passion. Now over to you, Lisbeth. Excuse me 1 second. I think we're having technical difficulties. Hello, everybody. I was just locked out the system. I hope that there is sound right now. Can you please confirm that I'm in? I hear you, Lisbeth. Great, super. Then we can get started. Okay, but thank you so much for the introduction, Rikke. I'm here to take you through 3 tips on how to utilize your customer data in social. And I'm pretty excited because I know that I have a great crowd here who has a lot of potential in terms of social data. I'm not going to go much into details about me, because Rikke did that. I will say that please feel free to follow me on Twitter or LinkedIn if you want to get more knowledge and insights about social media, because that's one of the things that I'm also spending a lot of time on, sharing the knowledge that we are gathering here in Comfo. But just to kick off today's presentation, we have prepared a little poll where we wanted to know a little bit about the crowd we have here today. So number 1 here is, have you already invested in a social media management platform, or do you plan to do it in the near future? A very simple question, so please answer the poll. And let's see the answers here. It's a very advanced audience we have, with a majority who have already invested in a social media management platform. The next poll is, do you plan to spend more or less in social advertising the next 6 to 12 months? And it's pretty simple again. Let's see the questions coming in here. Maybe there is a mistake here because nobody come in with anything. Okay, but I will follow up on these questions in the end. So thank you so much for being a part of our little poll here. So who is Comfo? Comfo is a social media management software platform company. Been working in the field since 2008, where we started up doing Facebook applications for larger enterprises here in the Nordics. We've grown our business since that time, and a couple of years ago, Sitecore made an investment in Comfo to ensure their social offering. So right now for us, we have a really, really important role of making sure that social is part of the automation and is part of the digital landscape of the Sitecore. One of the most important things for us. Yes. Oh, there's some sound here. I think that Sarah, you have not muted yourself. I just heard you. Just to tell you there that there is sound. There's somebody who says that there's no sound. And can you just confirm that I have sound?
Lisbeth, I hear you, and I also hear Vera, I think.
Okay, because I think that Sandra and me, we are not in the same room, so maybe that's the problem. But now she knows that she should unmute herself or mute herself, actually. But just continue here. One of the things which has been very interesting for us in Comfo is sharing our knowledge, and that's of course also why we have this free tips webinar today. And if you go through all the things that we are typically doing, it's really much together with partners, making sure that the social is being mobilized, so it's not just an island or a silo in the organization. The data from social is enormously and is really valuable for the larger companies. So if you haven't taken advantage of it yet, you really should. Some of the clients that we work together with, but let's get started. Before the tips, I have some cool statistics about how and why social is so important today. And I think it's getting more and more exciting to talk about these data, because previously we should always really tell people that Facebook was a relevant platform or LinkedIn was a relevant platform. That's not the issue anymore. Everybody knows that the social media there's enormous potential in these platforms, and that if you haven't been able to take a business advantage of it, you will definitely be able to in the future. So the statistics I've gathered for you today is just to give you a sneak peek of how enormously this landscape is right now, and also how CMOs and in general companies are really investing more and more money in these channels to make sure that they get really much out of it. And in terms of Sitecore, they have also recently added social to their typical buyer journey touch points when they discuss all these things you need to focus when you are CMO. Social is an important part of this, together with all the other things, of course. And another very interesting statistics is this Gartner released a CMO spend survey actually earlier this year, where social advertising is actually the category that they expect to spend most money on in the future. So, or actually already here in 2016. So it's important to see these trends, and if you're not really focusing it yet, you should look into the great opportunities in terms of social advertising, because that is really where you can get started and get the results very fast. We at Social are providing you with great statistics. I'm typically always mentioning them as a great knowledge point. They are every year doing these global digital snapshots, where you get an overview of the population in terms of internet users, active social media users, etc. And it is numbers released in January 2016, with more than 2.3 billion who now have active social media accounts. If you compare that to a total population of 7.3 billion, it is really some channels where you can meet at least lots of your target groups. Another interesting thing to mention in terms of We Are Social is that they are also actually digging into specific markets. So if you want to know exactly the key markets you're working on, I really recommend you check wearesocial.com to get some more insights. One of the things that we are constantly being asked about is what is the exact spend in terms of social media. And it's actually a couple of years ago that the statistics were released.
Lisbeth, you're falling out a little bit. Sorry, your
okay.
sound is a bit... maybe you can try again.
Yes, I'll just try again now. Is it better now?
Yes.
I will try to do a little trick just to make sure.
It might be something with your connection because it's still falling out a bit.
But can you confirm about it? Is it better now?
I think it sounds a bit better now. Yeah.
Okay.
We have Kit also agreeing that it sounds better.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So I was trying to do a little trick with my phone, and hopefully it worked. But one of the things which are always surprising for a lot of people is that the spend per hour is approximately 15 minutes. So, and it's globally now that the social media networks is really a time-consuming factor for a lot of people. And of course, it's also because of all the messaging services. So maybe you're not spending so much logging into the Facebook newsfeed anymore, but you're using this Facebook Messenger for communicating with your brand, with your family, with your football club. So that's why these numbers are still increasing. And then there is the Facebook community update. If you look into what is it that Facebook is doing right now and what is it actually that they are covering in terms of the channels. With 1 billion WhatsApp, actually 500 million now on Instagram each month. It's really, really an interesting community to start using for business purpose. And I think when they had the big Facebook event this year, talking about Facebook Live, which has really been taking an advantage of a lot of companies here in Denmark. We've seen larger chips companies using it for a session with fans. We have seen events going live directly on Facebook. And we have seen a lot of different examples of companies who are taking advantage of this new functionality. But also the whole story about VR and Oculus Rift is something which is really interesting for companies to look into. And it's just really the conclusion here is that it's not really about Facebook or social media anymore. It's really about creating the right customer experience in these social media channels. So they are ready to do it with whatever it needs, 360 cameras, Facebook Live, Oculus Rift. It's not really about that. It's more about combining the things so you get the best customer experience. And I think one example, which is not just, far away, but it's very, very much near because it is summertime right now, is KLM, who I was just traveling with them on a business travel, and then I got the boarding pass directly in the Facebook Messenger. Instead of I needed to download an app for it or I needed to go into a mail. And that really is showing that that companies are trying to be where it makes sense for them to be. So again, we haven't seen nothing yet in terms of these platforms. When you can receive boarding passes from larger airplane companies directly in your Facebook Messenger, what's next then? Of course, another thing, the very last before I go into the tips, is also Snapchat. You can't talk about social media and about all the advantages in terms of these platforms and not mention Snapchat. Snapchat is growing extremely these days in the Nordics and everywhere in the world, actually. And the amount of video being watched today now is extreme. And this was from the February 29th, where we just came home from South by Southwest, where everybody was talking about the great opportunity of having this authentic platform. And I think the release of the memories here last week also shows that Snapchat is now going for the bigger scale, and they also want to in the future. They do that right now, of course, in terms of publishers. But it is very, very interesting to see what you can do with the platform here. So let's go to the free tips, because that's what it should be all about today. And I hope if you have any questions, please feel free to stop me during the tips, because I like it to not only be a monologue. It becomes a little bit boring to sit here and talk to the computer. And hopefully these tips would also give you some concrete questions so you can use it. Because I made these free tips because I sometimes social and all the recommendations and strategy things you get from knowledge persons or from your agencies it's a very long process, and it can be difficult to get started. But I want to show you today that with some small adjustments or some very, very small tips, you can actually get started and get some great results. And that's really what's all about for us here in Comfo, to give you some quick wins so you can see the value of social. So tip number one, just to kick off, is actually use your data. What we see very often is that a lot of our clients and the companies in our network, they have a lot of data. They have a large email database. They have CRM systems. They have Sitecore data. They have website data. All these different data where they don't see that they can use them in the social platforms or in the social environment. And that's really tip number one. And instead of just talking about it on a theoretical plan, I will show you an example now, a case where we have been activating website data in social. We have here a global furniture brand who is really entering the social sphere. They are focusing to use custom audiences. And what is custom audiences? I have a short definition here, because custom audiences can be many things. It can be an audience from your email base. It can be an audience from your CRM database. Then you're uploading to Facebook, and then you're matching it and trying to reach these people on Facebook. In this case, with the global furniture brand, they have been making a custom audience based on the traffic on the website. So everybody who visited a specific product page, in this case, a page with the offers on beds, they came into this audience, and then they could reach them directly on Facebook. What is it? The method being used in terms of custom audience is retargeting, simple retargeting, where what you actually are doing with Facebook retargeting is you have a prospect visiting a website, then the prospect are tracked, and later on it enters Facebook, and it will show a retargeting image. But just to be a little bit more in details here, I'm going to show you what is exactly happening here. So the person who are visiting this global furniture brand is very interested in this bed, this nocturne bed, but by coincidence, she doesn't manage to buy the bed. And in a later stage, see a commercial on Facebook and stuff, where she get a very good offer for this exactly bag. Actually, she get an offer of 25% and up to 55% of a bag. And this works very, very good. It's a simple way of using data from your website, giving these persons a very specific offer on it works. And I'm going to show you that it works actually very, very well. Because a lot of persons, they don't actually fulfill the buying process, and they often get problems during the process of buying. So it's important to remind them about the good offer. So just to show you in the funnel process, typically you would have a branding ad for the global furniture brand on Facebook, maybe on another website. You're going to the website, the Sitecore website. You will have a teaser of the product. In this case, you will see the bed, and then you go back to the website, check the offer. You get a very, very specific sales push ad with a 20% discount, and you buy. And it's not just something I'm saying. In this specific case, we had a result of a return on ad spend. It's actually ROAS on times 100. So every time you spend $1,000 in terms of ads, you got a revenue times 100. You also got higher engagement on the ads because it was relevant. It was a person who had seen the beds on the website and got this specific ad. Of course, less work because things are automated. It's just an audience who will grow over time. So every time persons are visiting this specific page, they will automatically be put into this custom audience and get an advertising on Facebook. So a very, very simple way of really creating a lot of results. That's tip number one. And I will, of course, love to show you more. But again, the tips is I rather want to make 3 small tips and then get some more in-depth questions in your specific situation. So let's pass on to tip number 2. And tip number 2 is qualify your data. I think when you start using your data and you see the great results of using your different data in social, you also want to get better data from social because you see that the response rates are much higher, but you also see that you often have a higher engagement. And in this case, I want to show you the Compo case because we were really trying also to take advantage of it. And we are a business-to-business company. We sell software. So we were a little bit in doubt about it would work on Facebook, but it did. So let me show you what we actually did. One of the things which has been very important for us is, of course, our lead database. And we are sending out 50,000 mails during a month. But what we see is that we have our opening rate is going down. And that is not something just for us. It is happening for a lot of people. So instead of just being annoyed about that the opening rate are going down, we are taking all the persons who signed up for our emails and not opened up the mail and upload them to Facebook as a custom audience. So if they didn't receive the mail and actually clicked it in the mail program, why not try to reach them on a social channel? And in this case, we sent out an invitation for one of our webinars, and there was, in this case, 70% who didn't open the mail, but by showing it on a Facebook ad, we actually make sure that 20% more saw the message. So when we have spent a lot of time making a webinar, we've done a lot of work writing an invitation, why not to try to activate the same message? And I think what's interesting here is not just to reaching everybody, we actually have the possibility to reach some people who we know are interested in us because they have reached our mails previously. and they have been engaged in it, and we can see that they have opened up mails before, but maybe they don't actually have time for opening up the mail. So then we have the possibility to reach them here. It's the same landing page. We want the people from the mails going to the comfo.com, signing up for the webinar, and people from social platforms going to comfo.com and signing up. But what we actually see, and what is the very interesting part here in the end of tip number 2, is that the conversion rate on social is extremely good. Really try out the possibility of activating your mail messages on social platforms. And a last tip is also remember to exclude, because if you have a list and you know that a specific group has seen the mail already, you shouldn't show them the same message on social. So upload this list and exclude them from the audience. It's stupid to spend the money on a target group who already seen and interacted, but they also feel like they're spamming if they get the same message too many times on too many different platforms. So excluding is a really, really important method. Tip number 3 today is related to automation. I think that there is a need for automation. There is a huge need for having less complexity when you work with all these different tools. And let's dig a little bit more into what I'm talking about here. A very interesting influencer, Igor, wrote this tweet for some months ago, where he was mentioning this new Gartner list of cool vendors in marketing technology 2016. And what is really impressive about this, I'm going to show you the slide that he is talking about, is that the CMOs, they need to spend more time on innovation, because the landscape of tools is crazy. If you look at what you need to take into consideration and have a strategy upon in the digital landscape, it's really a never-ending story. And it's all from apps, from science, from social, from web, from data, mobility. And I really believe that if you want to be successful, you need to make sure to build the right bridge here, and you need to make sure that you're automating more and more processes, so you don't spend time on one tool in a silo, but that you're integrating the data between the tools to really take advantage of it. And that is really what the whole site called Comfo integration is about, to make sure that you take all the data you have from your digital presence, use it as social, but also send it back, so you get the right customer journey and you get the possibility of really take advantage of the data. And I have here an example of what is it exactly that I mean when I talk about automation. And if you work with Comfo and Sitecore, you have a very simple way of setting up the Comfo connector. And what we actually are doing here, and what we are helping larger companies with, is to automate the process that I've been talking about in tip 1 and tip 2. So the possibility of creating lists based on traffic. So if we go back to the global furniture brand, if people are watching this specific page about beds, they will be put into a custom audience, automated, and be sent directly to the Comfo system, and they will be made an app, and they will be shown all the persons who have interacted on the website will be shown an advertising with a 20% flash discount. That's really interesting, because previously you needed to download the list from Sitecore, from List Manager, or from your CRM system. You needed to upload it to Facebook. And when you do all these manual processes, there is a possibility of making mistakes. But with this small integration, we are really meeting a big need. It's just to show an example. I can see that we have a Q&A now. We have a question maybe. So I need to try to access the Q&A. I'll do that, Rikke. Thank you so much.
We don't have any questions.
Do you see any visuals? Do you?
I see your visual, but I'm not sure that the audience does. William,
okay, that's interesting.
Do you see the presentation now?
I see everything.
I think we should just continue, and if you are still having issues with the visuals, please let us know in the Q&A box. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, they can see the slide, so that's great. Thank you.
Great. But one of the things which becomes more and more important is to creating dashboards across channels and across your different initiatives. So what we are seeing more and more is that typically or before, companies were happy about having their Google Analytics, their Compo social analytics, their CRM analytics, business intelligence analytics, and that's just not the case anymore. You really want to create your own dashboard where you can see the value you're getting from social is actually ending up in sales in the end. And that is just the last tip for me here is to look into how you can make some smaller projects integrating your data, and especially your social data, which is extremely important, and there's a lot of social data, because that's the reason, or that's an opportunity to show the results that you're creating from social. And it's also really, really a good way of getting a better understanding of what is actually giving you the sales or the leads or whatever you are trying to reach in terms of your social platforms. So try to set up some projects within your organization where you are combining data from different sources. It is really, really giving you some extra opportunities. And I know that also Sitecore is helping doing these analytics in a very cool way. So it's really just about getting started, because you would get very much value out of it. So let's sum up what is important. One, start using your data. It's extremely how few people are using their customer data, email data, audience data in terms of social advertising. Try to see how you can qualify your data. Social is great for asking questions to your audience. It's great for getting more sign-ups for events. If you just have an email database, maybe you should also send it out to your social channels, and then show and combine your data, because there is so many data out there. It is really a complex world, but with small projects where you're combining your data and taking data from different channels, you will get much more out of your data. And it will also really make sure that social is not a silo anymore. It will show how important social channel is for the companies. Great. So let's see about, we have any questions coming in here? I'll try to go to the Q&A again. I'm very interested to hear about, has everybody seen the, okay. There's a lot of questions, so sorry, I just need to go through. But Rikke, have you any questions? Yes. Yes, you have a question, Rikke. Let me see. Okay, I'm not sure. Is there still sound? Yes, there is still sound. Great. and visuals and everything. Yes. Okay, great. But I don't hear any questions at the moment. But you should really feel free to ask. But I can maybe also ask a question to the crowd here. Are you actually using your customer data today in terms of social? Are you using it for social advertising, for qualifying your data, for your dashboard? That could be very interesting to hear. Get some feedback from the audience as well. Sorry about it's a little bit new for me with this Q&A, so I'm not sure that I looked the right place. Oh, there's a problem with the sound now. Okay. But maybe I can just repeat my questions then. I just wanted to hear about, great, thank you, Claes. I just wanted to hear about there was anybody in the audience who are taking advantage of using customer data in social today. For instance, using it for custom audiences or qualifying data, or even for a bigger dashboards project.
Yeah, people are writing their answers. And while they are writing to you, can you maybe answer how to engage potential customers more efficiently?
Sorry, can you just ask the question again? Can you repeat it?
Yes, the question from the audience is how do you engage potential customers more efficiently?
Oh yes. Yeah, there's more ways, of course, of doing that. One of the things that I would definitely start up with in terms of advertising is giving tips and advices in terms of your product. Taking the knowledge-based way, making sure that you are actually providing your potential leads and clients or prospects with some knowledge. Knowledge is really king in terms of social media, and especially also shareable knowledge. So if you have some products where you can give them tips to how to use it in a specific way, you can do small videos about it, you can do white papers about it. All these things are really the first step where you can engage your audience. Yes.
But what how personal can you get with the customers in terms of using their data?
You can get very, very personal, actually. It really depends on how much time you want to spend on it. One of the things that I would recommend you to do from a starting point of view is to focus to look at what pages are people visiting on your web page. So you can do these personas and get in some groups. For instance, if you work with some very specified target groups, we do that in Comfo. We work with CMOs, we work with social media community managers, and we work with influencers. So when we can see that, for instance, the CMOs, they're looking very much into the trend reports and the webinars about return on investment, etc. So this group, we will always provide with an ad on social media, which is very much related to what we know that they want to see. So it's an invitation for an event with a larger brand telling about how they was doing a successful strategy. Where if you look into the community manager, it would be much more focused on this is how you write good content, this is free tips to make a good video, this is how you can set up a simple campaign. So it's really, really about making sure that you have some content to your different target groups to get really good results.
Great. Yeah. And we have another question. Does Comfo also support VK and Weibo?
We don't actually support any Chinese social media channels at the moment. I would say that we are all the time considering what's next. But right now we are considering the largest channels. We are of course we support Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google+, LinkedIn, and one more that I've just forgotten. But you can check that, of course, at our website. But we will all the time actually we are talking about what is next, and we are in 55 markets now, and we have more and more clients active on in terms of the Asian markets. So it could be relevant for us to look into this. Yes. Great. There's also another one here.
In the pipeline. What's in the pipeline?
Yeah, I'm really up for the honest answer here. And yes, one of our sales guys would definitely say that it's in the pipeline, but I would say that it is on the roadmap, but it's not concrete, so I can say a date yet. Great. I'm just looking through the questions to make sure that I have asked or answered everything. Let's see. I think I've been through everything.
Yes, I think Lisbeth, you have.
Great. But
are there any more questions? Then please go ahead and put them in there. I don't think so, Lisbeth.
Great. But then I want to make sure you can see my last slide, because if you, okay, I'm trying to post to the audience here. We have our yearly Comfort Summit, the 22nd of September here in Copenhagen. We're also doing a version in Benelux in February 2017, and then we hopefully also do a US version for let's see about that in 2017. But if you want to reach out before, if you have any questions or you want to know more about the possibilities in terms of automation or how to take advantage of your customer data in social, please feel free. And I'm really sorry about the sound troubles, and I really hope that the ones who missed out on anything would reach out to me so I can answer your questions. I would be really happy to do that. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, everyone, for today. Have a very nice day, and we hope to see you on more of the Psycho Summer School during the summer. So, bye.